Hello Internet, welcome back to Driving and Dragons. I'm Daniel and today we are going to discuss how you're doing it wrong when it comes to natural 20s, more precisely how you handle critical successes and failures in your game that are not explicitly covered in the rules of whichever system you're running at your table. The day is finally at hand in regards to the 280ZX, while the video footage during today's commentary will be the continuation of the faulty starter saga. At the end of the video will be clips from the long-awaited, by me at least, maiden voyage of the Channel Project car, as I move the car from its storage unit to my office where restoration will continue. That's right, for the first time in 24 years, number 2478-3000 is on the road under its own power, albeit with absolutely no exhaust system, brakes that are questionable at best, and on tires that could fly apart at any moment. But hey, it's progress, and it's definitely a happy day. So all you car guys, stick around after I get through yapping about math rocks for the straight car footage. The rest of you guys will see it sans audio when it becomes background for a future video. Moving on, natural 20s, triple zeros, 10, the die exploding, critical hits. Whatever you call them, there's generally something special about hitting that top number on the die that determines success or failure in a TTRPG. The same can be said for the opposite, natural ones, critical failures, fumbles, though more often than not, especially in the nobody dies, excessively hand-holdy, player agency world of today, the terror of the fumble is generally not present, at least not in the rules themselves. Speaking of, there are circumstances where the rules themselves cover this topic, and in those cases, it's pretty easy to tell if you're doing it wrong or not. You just read the section of your core rulebook that covers the topic, and if you're doing what it says, then you're good. For example, in Dungeons & Dragons, a 20 on the die for an attack roll has been an automatic hit since 3rd edition, and it was a de facto automatic hit in basic D&D because the highest number needed to score a hit was 17 if a level 1 fighting man was going against an AC 2. Therefore, if you're playing Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 and roll that all your natural 20s are a hit, that's not really anything special. That's not special ruling. That's just raw rules as written. It's raw. However, the very idea of critical successes and failures began its life as a homebrew rule way back in the days of chainmail, with a meaningful increase in damage, usually double being the industry standard, so to speak. But what about failure? Or skill checks? What about games that lack any rules for such a system? To ask the question that inspires nerd rage across all corners of the TTRPG cyberspace, how should you treat a natural 20 on a skill check? The answer is, of course, one that a lot of game masters, players, and commentators get wrong. The answer comes in two parts. First, whatever way you choose to handle the concept, you absolutely must be consistent in both mechanics and effects. Second, whatever you choose should be something that enhances your game in a way that the impact is meaningful, but not in a way that the effect in and of itself is enough to alter the course of the narrative or the success or failure of an objective in and of itself. Starting with the first. Like any homebrew rule, consistency is key. For example, in my current 3.5e game, I use a few variant critical hit and fumble rules. While the 2 hit and damage rules stay the same as they are in the player's handbook, I've added a few. On skill checks, a natural 1 or a natural 20 don't ensure success or failure. It simply modifies the roll with an additional d10. If you get a natural 20 on your hide check, roll a d10 and add it to the result. You roll a natural 1, you do the opposite. It's still possible to succeed with the 1 or fail with the 20, but the player gets that exhilaration or anxiety spike that comes with a little extra on 10% of their rolls. It also gives a trigger point for those over-the-top, don't ask me to do that again narrative moments where the character gets to do something awesome or just becomes a hapless victim of Murphy's Law. Another thing I added was a critical miss in combat on a natural 1. A player can still hit with a natural 1 if the bonuses stack up to make it happen. So there's no automatic mischance. However, on a natural 1, a d30 is rolled. The higher the number, the more damaging the fumble. On a 1, a character may slip just enough to be off balance next round, resulting in a -2 penalty on attack rolls, unless they forfeit all other actions, including free actions beyond speaking, to recover their composure. On a 15, they may lose their grip and fling their sword 15 feet away. On a 30, that sword may hit an ally or an innocent bystander, or that lever that causes the portcullis to fall. There are 1,000 different variants. You can call any success by more than 5 a critical success, or any failure by more than 5 a fumble. You can make a fumble table or simply have a fixed effect. You can give a simple bonus or penalty to the roll, or you can add a benefit or detrimental effect to the outcome. You can have a Bless Bane mechanic or a momentum system where rolls have no immediate effect, but they build up party-wide bonuses or penalties to future rolls as an effective morale. But whatever you do, make sure that it is absolutely consistent. One major reason that in particular fumbles end up being a critical failure at the table is because of inconsistent application by the GM. Fighter rolls a 1, drops his sword, it's a minor inconvenience. Wizard rolls a 1, fireballs the entire party, event causing an eventual TPK, and it's not because of a second bad roll on a D30, but simply because the game master decided that's what a critical failure was on Use Magic Device. This brings us to part 2. Enhance the game in a meaningful way, but not in such a way that it has an outsized impact on its own merit. For instance, even in my D30 critical failure mechanic, I'm not going to have the ranger accidentally shoot the Duke's daughter through the throat and turn the entire campaign into a manhunt for the now bounty-laden party. At most, they may kill a random noble's child that results in some kind of recompense or trial encounter, and even that only on the worst scenario with more than likely a few additional failed rules to back it up. So you're not going to just roll a critical failure and bingo bango, you're in the noble trial situation. You're going to roll a 30 on that fumble die, so you already got the worst thing, and then you're probably going to fail a few speech checks or persuasions or something of that nature to make the matter even worse. It's not going to just be an automatic thing, and that's not even a major world-changing event, so to speak. The easiest way is to simply guarantee success or failure, or to provide some kind of numerical bonus. But I would caution against even those things. You see, it's very easy to upset the balance of your game with a pure mechanical benefit, and it's also very clear to the players what the benefit is and what it means. And that makes adjusting things more difficult. After all, if a natural 20 on a skill roll is an automatic success, they're going to expect a 5% chance to do the absolute impossible, leading to arguments about just let them roll on things that you say they can't do. When you go in and say, I'm adjusting things to help the balance of it, you can bet your last dollar that if that adjustment is not in the player's favor, you're going to get some saltiness the next time that 20 shows up and the player only gets a +5 instead of an automatic invisibility effect on their hide check. Plus, a mechanical bonus doesn't really have the same excitement factor as a narrative effect. When a natural 20 on a skill check means you get some unknown special extra, it's like a kid getting a present on Christmas. They can't wait to see what it is. Likewise, that 1 is kind of like they misbehaved for mom and dad isn't home yet. They know that the punishment's coming when he gets there, but they don't know if the PlayStation's going to go in dad's room for the night or if it's going to be 10 across the ass and the PlayStation's going to end up in the trash. But either way, they know something's coming. It's fun to get a pick lock check that allows you to make it so the door is jammed behind you and now the guards can't even follow you with a key. It's terrifying wondering if, when you fumbled that jump check, is it going to be a landing in a way that makes a ton of noise? Or is it going to be a sprained ankle that costs you a -2 on any athletics type action for the rest of the day? In the end, the reason you're doing critical hits wrong is either because you failed to follow those 2 rules, or it's because you got caught up in what rule book or internet Twitter X account said, and you didn't think about how it could enhance your experience or if it was right for your table to begin with in the first place. That's all I've got. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and enjoy the next several seconds as our channel mascot stretches her legs for the first time. I'll see you guys next time.